In Saddam Hussein's time and in Gaddafi's time, there were women in the armed forces. There were women who did what they wanted to do. Now you can condemn their dictatorial form of government, but they certainly liberated women. So my answer would be, it depends on how regressive the laws were, and if there was a strong man administration who liberated women from those laws, to the extent that it talks of liberation of women, I would welcome it.
Ambassador Mukherjee, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak to Global Compass and Strat News Global.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so this story caught our attention this week that what is happening, the government of Tajikistan has announced restrictions on women. And the pretext is that they need to preserve the ethnic heritage of the country. But at the same time, they are also dictating, they have put diktats on how women should dress up properly, dress up ethnically in a country which has a population 90% population of Tajikistan are Muslim. How do you read this particular development?
In the first place, it is important to understand that there are 3 or 4 words of Islam. As I learned when I was chef de cabinet to the first High Commissioner for Human Rights, and he explained to me that the first world of Islam, so to speak, stops at the Indian subcontinent. Then you have the second world of Islam, which extends to Indonesia, etc. The third world of Islam, which goes to Central Asia. The fourth world of Islam, which is Africa. As you move away from the first world of Islam, the norms also become much more relaxed. So if you take this particular case study of Tajikistan and you look at the history of the Tajiks actually were never very extremist or fundamentalist in their approach to any religion. They're a deeply entrenched tribal society, and they have, it's true, tribes and entrenched tribal customs. The hijab doesn't fit into any of those tribal customs. They have very attractive headgear for both men and women. That being said, in my opinion, and I have been asked this question many times as an emancipated Indian woman, I have always said that a woman should have the freedom to choose her own dress, but at the same time, it is important to educate women as to what a dress means at any particular point of time or history. Like, for instance, suppose I have to go to a very conservative part of the world, as indeed a colleague of mine did, a European colleague, to a very conservative part of Libya to meet the imprisoned son of Gaddafi. And she was wearing a mini skirt. And I had told her when she left Netherlands, I was ambassador at that time, that it is better to be fully dressed with a scarf, safer for the person concerned. And indeed, they immediately caught her. They said she's a woman spy. And but for the intervention of the Russian ambassador who was with her, they might have executed her. So when she came back, I told her, I said it is important for emancipated women to know how to dress, when to dress, where to dress, for their safety and for the safety of their companions. That being said, if the Tajik women do not want to wear the hijab, for me that's a very welcome sign. On the other hand, if a Tajik woman wants to wear a hijab for sake of her identity, in my perspective, it would be better to explain to her that a hijab in the context of Tajikistan means what? It means a step backward because this is not a country that had put their women in behind a veil ever in their history. We've had it in ours when in the Delhi Sultanate period, the first time the Hindu woman wore the gungat, it was supposed to be protection. But in Tajikistan, they have a different history. So while I don't like banning the hijab through diktat because I'm a very democratic person. I would prefer that they educate their women to what a hijab means in Tajikistan, and they should freely decide to wear it or not wear it, or perhaps, like they do in many countries, they wear a small scarf if they want to. If they don't want to, they don't wear it. When I have gone to Muslim countries, I have asked them, would you like me to wear a scarf? If they've said, no, it's okay, you're from India, you can do what you like. If they say, no, ma'am, it would be better if you wear a scarf, I have never argued. I've worn a scarf. I must go with the flow. I must respect their rituals and traditions. So my long answer to your short question is, it's a good step, provided the women are happy about it. That we don't know yet whether they are happy or unhappy, but women have their own way, we know as women, to make our unhappiness felt. So if they are not happy, they will surely, in a subtle way, demonstrate that they're not happy about it.
Ultimately, ma'am, it's a woman's choice, right? Ultimately, now suppose, okay, you talked of the traditional Tajiki dress and the fact that hijab is not a part of it, which is what even the government has said. However, given the fact that now we have, it's a globalized open world, everybody knows, we are exposed to different cultures. What if a Tajik woman wants to wear a mini skirt? What if she wants to wear trousers? Isn't it her choice? Why is the government again issuing a diktat on how she has to dress ethnically? Why is that being enforced on her? Why can't she ultimately, isn't it about her choice?
I think it comes with social evolution. When I was growing up and going to Delhi University, uh, to Miranda House, in the university special, uh, I think it would be most dangerous to me to have worn a miniskirt, because there was a lot of ape teasing in those days for women who were not dressed in what the men consider to be modest. Today, I see women in Delhi dressed as they want to. I'm very happy for them that they can do what I could not do. It comes with social evolution. You have to push, but not too hard, and you have to think of your own security. So I don't know whether the Tajik woman is wearing a mini skirt or not. I know they certainly wear trousers. I've been to that part of the world. They wear trousers. They are, as I said, it's a very interesting tribal society with tribal history. Uh, if they want to wear a mini skirt, they the Tajik society has to be ready to accept it. Otherwise, we could go back to the same argument in Iran and say that when the Shah was there, the women wore miniskirts. Now there is an Islamic Republic, and some women have died because they did not want to wear a hijab. You have to go with the flow. And if you want to have a social movement, also, you have to carry the society with you. And let me tell you that very often the objection to the miniskirt may not just come from a conservative man. I have seen it coming in, even including in India, from conservative women, older women. We can't deny that. So you have to carry society. That's my perspective.
Do you think the state, or the power of the state, it should be, or an agent to decide what is progressive, what is regressive when it comes to women and clothing?
I think if it's a state which has regressive laws on women, like it is, for instance, in Afghanistan now under Taliban, where women cannot go beyond primary school, women are not allowed to go to the university, women are not allowed to play sports. Um, in fact, living a woman's life in Afghanistan has become complete hell. There, I would certainly welcome if a new government came and changed these regressive laws so as to allow Afghan women to breathe and to live in liberty, and they want to. Because I will not accept that an Afghan woman is happy just being given 3 years of primary education and forced to stay in school. That an Afghan woman who was in the process of becoming a medical doctor is now forced to stay at home. She cannot go out. So it depends on how regressive the state is. I am making a general remark. So therefore, in the context of Tajikistan, I don't know how regressive it is for women, but I understand that the president uh, has a strong views on secularism and on moving women forward. He's not the first such person. If you remember, that was long before maybe you were even born. There was a guy called Gaddafi. Or maybe you were around at that. Gaddafi liberated women, Libyan women, as did Saddam Hussein. In Saddam Hussein's time and in Gaddafi's time, there were women in the armed forces. There were women who did what they wanted to do. Now, you can condemn their dictatorial form of government, but they certainly liberated women. So, my answer would be it depends on how regressive the laws were, and if there was a strong man administration who liberated women from those laws, to the extent that it talks of liberation of women, I would welcome it. To the extent that there is no democracy in that country, that is unfortunate. But if you're just talking about women and the need to liberate them from such highly regressive laws like no access to healthcare, marrying them off at the age of 10 to men who are 60 years old, not giving them any opportunity to play sports, to 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 uh, to go to the university to become doctors, lawyers, etc. Yes, I would certainly condemn it, and I would welcome any measure that would enable society to liberate their women.
So, as I understand it, you are saying that what the Tajik government has done is basically taken out in its, it says it's secular, and it has taken out the hijab. It has abolished the hijab, but at the same time, you are okay with the fact that they are asking them to wear a traditional, ethnic costume, right? Is Have I understood that correctly?
They haven't asked them to wear. No. They have not asked them to wear traditional ethnic costume. They wear Western clothes in Tajikistan. They have banned the hijab. So my question would be, if I had the time, I would have googled it. Those who want to, can they wear a scarf? Because many women don't want to wear a hijab. It's very restrictive. Some of them, especially the older women, want to wear a scarf. So I don't know how far this ban has gone. But certainly from what I saw on Google, he has banned the traditional hijab, the complete head to foot, the burqa as we call it in India. That is what has been banned. So to that extent, I would certainly welcome it because it would give more freedom to the Tajik woman. And I do hope that they are permitted in case they want a scarf, a head scarf. That is what I would say.
So my next question to you is, so women's clothing, women's attire, it goes beyond it is almost like a political issue. And a woman is just being used in this entire mire of politics. Would you agree?
I would say, no, not really. I would say, take a country like India. I've been India's ambassador. I have taught a lot of Western women ambassadors, American ambassadors, etc., how to wear a sari. They love it. They think it's amazing how Indian women wear saris. They think it's amazing how a totally liberated woman like me can still wear traditional dress and look great. That's my choice. I wear a sari when I'm abroad because I want people to understand the what we bring to the world, our colors, our cottons, our ethnicity, our jewelry, our clothes. So what's wrong with that? Nothing. Nobody has forced me to wear the sari.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is exactly my point. The choice. A woman should always have the choice to wear whatever she wants, and that was where I was coming from. That, again, this diktat does makes a woman's clothing a political issue. That was my question to you. Not
I
not
agree.
India, but what is happening in Tajikistan.
To that extent, I agree with you. It should not be a diktat. There should be a form of social education so that girls understand what a hijab means in an emancipated society. That a woman clothed from head to foot cannot be an airline pilot, cannot examine a patient, a male patient, cannot go to a courtroom and defend a male who has been accused of heinous crimes. Because dress dictates also the profession. Like, I'm a professional diplomat. If I go around wearing a hijab from head to foot, I cannot discharge my duties as ambassador of India to that particular country. These are things which need to be explained to the women. That do they want to play an equal role with men in every profession? Then there are certain professions where you cannot. There's also another problem with the hijab all over, which is it's a security issue. The hijab has often been used by terrorists to escape, particularly in conservative societies, because the police are doing door to door. A male policeman will not dare to ask a person in a hijab to take off the hijab. That's a fact. So there are it's a multi-layered and highly complex issue. It's difficult to just discuss it in black and white. There are so many shades of gray in between that we have to look at. Is my perspective. Is my perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ambassador Mukherjee, for that perspective. And it's been lovely to talk to you. And I hope we will keep talking to you about other such important issues as well, strategic issues. As you said, women are strategic, and it's very important to keep talking about these issues. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Nilanjan. Thank you to have you. Thank you for having me.